Welcome to this special virtual town hall discussion by Bickford Senior Living. Hi there, I'm Melissa Smith. I'm your facilitator today for this discussion and question answer session about all things coronavirus vaccine. And here's what we're going to accomplish today, okay? We're going to answer questions you may have about the vaccine and its distribution to seniors in general, and also the seniors who are moving into Bickford Senior Living communities, whether it's in this area or someplace else, but we're going to share this with you so that the whole area has the information. We're going to provide you with a timeline for the vaccine distribution at all of the Bickford locations in your area. And for those of you who are really hoping to make a move into Bickford in time to receive this vaccine, we will share with you the necessary steps to take that happen to meet the vaccine deadline. And I don't know about you, but I am excited, I'm relieved, I feel comforted that we finally have this vaccine. It's finally making its way through senior living communities in our area. Because when we step back and look at the numbers, there have been more than 20 million Americans that have been infected with COVID-19 since all of this hit about a year ago. And of course, those death statistics around those 65 and older are absolutely staggering. What's really exciting is that Bickford Senior Living has been super proactive. They've entered into what's called this federal COVID-19 vaccination program. And it is why Bickford now has access to the vaccine. And we have some dates in January and in February when the vaccine will be available to certain Bickford Senior Living communities around in this area. So here's why we feel super obligated to share the vaccine timeline with you today. We want seniors who've thought about making a move to Bickford. We want them to have the information so that if they have been holding back from moving in due to COVID-19, we want you to know that if you make the move before the deadline, you too will receive the vaccine. Also, that those over 65 who have not moved into Bickford or who don't live in a senior living community, the vaccine will be made available to those over 65 sometime in the spring. So not in the next couple of weeks, but it's going to be spring before they receive it. And then for everybody else, the vaccine will not be readily available, at least as it stands right now, until 2022. So Bickford has this really small window to finalize our list of residents. And once that list is completed, that window is going to close. So here are the move-in deadlines for the Bickford communities in this area. Okay, so for clarity, it's really important to understand that the term deadline, it has more to do with a signed commitment than it does with actually physically moving into the community, which we're going to explain all that to you just a little bit later in this presentation. So take note of the branches that you're interested in, the move-in deadline associated with that branch. And we're going to go back to this slide in a few minutes as well when we get into the details about what it means to take possession of an apartment in order to take advantage of receiving the vaccine. So don't worry if you didn't get all of that information down right now. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and get some of those basic questions answered. Some of those commonly asked questions about the vaccine. And to do that, we have two of Bickford's executives who are joining us. First, we have Ann Cheverton. Ann is the Senior Vice President of Resident Services. Hey, Ann, thanks for being with us this morning.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Great. And then we also have Alan Fairbanks, and Alan is the Executive Vice President of Operations. Alan, thanks for being with us.
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. Thanks for having us. Appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. So I think the very first question we want to get to in terms of these basic questions kind of out of the way is, which vaccine is Bickford administering to their residents, to their Bickford family members, the caregivers and such? And then how many doses does this vaccine require? And I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for that, Melissa. So initially, we have partnered with Walgreens to conduct clinics in all of our locations. And the initial vaccine is Pfizer. In the majority of our states and locations, that will be the vaccine. There may be, as most of us know, there's some Moderna's been approved, and there's an opportunity that it could be that that gets utilized later on. But what we do know is this: whatever vaccine is utilized, that will be the vaccine that is consistently utilized in that branch and in that clinic. And There will be 2 doses that are administered. They are generally going to be 28 days apart. So what we've been experiencing is when Walgreens has scheduled our initial clinic date, they've also scheduled a second date, in addition a third date to be able to potentially pick up any individuals that have moved in after that initial clinic has taken place. So the trials have indicated that to be most effective, and we've seen 94% plus effective rates with the vaccine, you must take both vaccines, both doses, not just one dose. So it's 2 doses and typically 28 days apart. And the clinics are being conducted by Walgreens, usually Pfizer, could be Moderna, depending on each individual state and that local Walgreens location.
So to follow up with that, Alan, will the folks from Walgreens then come to the community to do that, or will the residents have to go to Walgreens?
No, they'll come to the community. Walgreens will come conduct clinics in our locations. They will come with their own personnel, and certainly Bickford will have personnel to support that as well, from an RN perspective, from a leadership director perspective. So there will be Bickford personnel there as well. So we'll have you covered from Walgreens personnel, and Bickford's personnel. Will be plenty of people there to hold your hand throughout the entire process.
Fantastic. So Ann, this is probably for you. So why would you say, as a health professional, why should seniors get the vaccine now as opposed to waiting until the spring, when I believe is when those who are 75 and older will have access to the vaccine? Why do this right now? And are seniors more at risk if they don't get the vaccine now?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We know already, the data has shown us that our seniors today are more at risk than the general population, especially those over 75, which is the majority of our residents at Bickford Senior Living. And the death outcomes are very, very high with this particular group. So it is really a life-saving vaccination. It's going to prevent the infection and really prevent those bad outcomes that we see more with residents that have other comorbidities, other diseases that already weaken them coming into an infection. So the risk is much higher by age, by disease type as well. It's very, very important they get the vaccine, so then they're protected.
Mm-hmm. Very good. A lot of people I've heard, just in the general public, they talk about how quickly these vaccines were produced, and there is a little bit of worry around that. They were produced quickly, they were approved quickly. Do we need to worry about that?
That's another concern we've seen really in the internet as well. All of these different questions about, is it safe? These vaccines have been produced very quickly because there was a great collaboration between multiple countries, governments releasing funds, the private sector, pharmaceuticals really jumping in. Some of these vaccines have already been in place with coronavirus. This is a different version of it. So they have these mRNA vaccines already kind of ready to go for regular coronavirus. So just trying to modify them to be ready for this, be mass produced, was done very quickly. No step in the process of the approval of FDA was missed. They go through very stringent guidelines and review. And we know today that at least 3,000 participants have to take the vaccine for it to approve from a phase 3 to a phase 4 clinical trial. We've had over 50,000 people have received the vaccine in that trial setting. And today, we also have seen over 4 million people have been vaccinated as well in our country. So we know that the vaccines are safe. We know the side effects are fairly minimal, and people are doing well with these vaccines.
You mentioned these side effects. Let's talk a little bit about what some of those side effects are.
Most of the side effects are very similar to taking any kind of flu shot that most of our residents take during the flu season. You might get a little bit of soreness at the site where you had the injection. We've done several clinics already, and we're seeing very, very minor pain at the site. But more typically, as your body starts to build up some immunity to the vaccine, you might have that initial reaction of maybe a headache, maybe a slight fever, maybe some body aches. These normally last for no more than a day or so, and you can recover from those very, very quickly. as long as people can take some Tylenol or Advil, or certainly take some fluids, make sure they have plenty of rest. We do know the second dose of the vaccine sometimes has more side effects. And so again, just making sure you're rested, to take fluids, take some Tylenol or Advil if needed. Most of these symptoms should be pretty mild and people can recover and even work with those symptoms.
So another thing that I'm sorry.
One thing I would add, Melissa, to the earlier question that you asked Ann in regards to the safety of the vaccine is, I think so many times people look at the speed at which this was done as a negative. One, I look at it as a positive because it's something that can happen quickly to be able to save the number of lives that this vaccine is going to save. And also, there's been so much publicity and so much known of this vaccine and this COVID. Can you imagine the stringency in which all eyes were watching? So my belief is that this is probably as safe and safer than any other vaccine that's ever been produced, because there's more people paying attention to this than anything that's ever been developed ever, in my opinion, just because of the number of individuals that are paying attention to this.
Such a good point.
I just add to that too, because really where the scientific community is looking at this is modernizing how we're managing vaccines today. This is innovative times for us. So this is not something that's done in a hurry. It's something that's really moved us as an industry in managing vaccines very differently than we have in the past. So this is actually innovative times that the pandemic has really pushed us into.
Another thing that has come up, or a question that's come up by folks, is can they get COVID-19 from taking the vaccine, or can they somehow give it to somebody else, give the virus to somebody else if they get the vaccine?
That's another really good question. Typical vaccines that have been produced in the past are often the actual virus itself. It's attenuated, it's not live necessarily, so it's vaccine you can take in smaller doses. This is different. These two particular vaccines that are out are called mRNA vaccines. These are genetic material. And what they do is they take a small amount of protein from the virus itself, and this obviously is injected, it goes into a cell, and that protein itself is what the body reacts to. So actually you're not getting any kind of virus at all, no live virus. You can't replicate virus from this. Also, that means if you don't have the virus, you can't give it to someone either. So it also means that you will not be able to give it to someone else. So people are safe in taking the vaccine, and other people with them are not at risk from getting coronavirus from the vaccine.
So what about a senior that perhaps has had COVID-19 already? Do they still need to get the vaccine?
As this is a new virus, even though coronaviruses have been around for a long time, this is a new version of it. And so I think because we know our seniors are most at risk, the advice from the CDC and from the federal government is for seniors, even if they've had it and or anyone who had it in the past, to certainly have the vaccine. It gives you active immunity, it gives you that protection. We don't know how much protection you get from the actual having the infection itself. So this is an ounce of precaution, but certainly highly recommended that they do take the vaccine, even if they've had coronavirus.
I think so many of us are just, we're all growing weary, and our hope is that we're going to get this vaccine, and then we're going to be able to set the mask aside, and we're not going to have to worry about social distancing. Is that in fact what's going to happen? And if it is, when will that be, or do we know?
Well, I wish I could, answer that question, but the reality is we don't know. I do think this is certainly the step to move in that direction. Our stance will be that we will continue with the protocols that we currently have in place. We will continue to have caregivers in masks. We will continue to screen visitors, because the reality is we're not going to know who has taken the vaccine and who hasn't taken the vaccine from any individuals coming into our branches. So we will continue to follow the same infection control protocols that we had pre-COVID, and those more stringent post-COVID protocols we put in place as well. So I do believe, though, that soon we'll be able to move into worlds where our residents will be able to participate in communal dining. They'll be able to dine once again with their friends. You know, they'll be able to have activities within our locations in a group manner, in a group setting. So this will be a way for us to more quickly move into more of a normal world than certainly if we did not have the vaccine. So I do think we'll be able to move into that in a much more quicker fashion than we would if we didn't have the vaccine.
Awesome. We are going to get these dates back up here on the screen in just a moment for folks to know, for those who are considering a move into Bickford at this time, to be able to take advantage of this vaccine. Before we get to that, though, I want to kind of close this section out with you two. Is there anything else that you want to bring out about this vaccine coming into Bickford at this time that I haven't already asked you?
Yeah, for us and for Bickford, I think the thing that I would add is that we are going to continue to really strongly encourage and get as much participation in the vaccine as we possibly can, both from our residents, from our employees, our Bickford family members. I want that for everyone in the community, because I think this is our best chance to be able to move into a world where we can eradicate COVID from our world and from our communities. So we are going to continue to strongly encourage our residents and our BFMs to participate. What's happening is we're scheduling 3 clinics. The great news is if someone should happen to miss the first clinic, they're going to be able to participate in the second clinic and then the subsequent 3rd clinic as well. So our belief and hope is that we're going to get a large participation of residents and employees in our clinics and be able to get into a situation where we have a lot of immunity within our branches. And that's my hope and desire, that we'll see that out in the community at large as well. Exciting news to hear. Anne, any final thoughts from you for this particular part of our Q&A? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's about the numbers. We're over 20 million people infected with coronavirus, and we know the number is probably much higher. Testing wasn't in place early in the day. We know right now the pace of coronavirus is about 1.5 million people are getting coronavirus every week. We know our seniors are most vulnerable. And so for me, the game changer, the only thing that's going to affect this is clearly wearing masks and social distancing isn't doing it. Holidays have kept everyone together. So we know the only way for this to be eradicated is to take the vaccine. And so that's our strong stance. We are really strongly recommending people take the vaccine. It's a game changer for this pandemic.
Alan, Anne, thanks for being with us. Anne, I know you're going to stick around here to answer some other questions as they come up, but Alan, thanks so much. And speaking of asking a question, we want to encourage you at home to ask your questions. This is the perfect time to ask those questions. And here's how you're going to do that. Right there on your screen, just below this slide that says ask a question, is a form. And you just type in your name, you type in your question, you hit submit, and that will come straight to us, and I will relay that question to our next presenters who are coming up here, and we'll get those answered, okay? So right now I want to bring in a couple of other people. I want to bring in Sam Goodman, who's the Director of Sales for Bickford. Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Good, how are
and
you?
I'm also going to bring in Cindy Egdorf, who's the Divisional Director. Oh, I'm so good. I think we have a little audio delay, that old internet thing, right? Don't you just love that? But Cindy Egdorf is also here. She's the Divisional Director of Resident Services, and we're glad to have you join us. And of course, Anne, thanks so much. So I want to go ahead and start, if I can, with a few questions for you all, because we want people to, let's show the deadlines again for the Kansas City, Nebraska area, if that's okay. So we see here what the deadlines are. A couple of them in January, the rest of them in February. And so that prompts my first question really, guys, and that is, you know, there's not a whole lot of time between those deadlines and right now, which is the 18th of January. So how does this work? What are the steps that families need to be aware of? that seniors need to be aware of if in fact they want to take advantage of receiving the vaccine from Bickford and making the move, if you will, into Bickford by the deadline?
Right.
Sam?
I think that what's important to know is that you wouldn't have to make the full move into Bickford at this point. So they don't have to worry about selling their house and doing all of that. What's going to be important is for someone to sign what we call an apartment possession by that time, which is an intent to move in. So they're going to take possession of the apartment. The apartment would be theirs. It allows someone to start moving their stuff in over time, but they sign the contract saying that they're going to move in and take possession of that apartment. So you wouldn't have to worry about at that point being fully physically moved in at that time, because we know that on that short time span, you might not be able to do that all at one time. But with that apartment possession, the apartment would be yours, and that would allow you to be able to be a resident of ours with that contract and be able to get the vaccine at that time.
So if somebody's interested in making the move in, but maybe they've never been to one of these Bickford communities that are on the list, how do they kind of, I mean, as an adult child, I want to know where's mom moving into, right? So how are you handling those tours that you typically do?
Absolutely. So a lot of our branches are still doing tours in person. And so we absolutely can do in-person tours, and we can also do virtual tours. And so not only can you contact me and I can have our local branches help you out doing in-person tours or virtual tours, or head to our individual websites where we have wonderful branch pictures and things like that. But we can have you come in and do that, but we can also do it virtually for those people that are out of town and would like to be connected that way as well.
And my mom is like super picky. Okay. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now's the opportunity to get her in. Mm-hmm. And yet the apartment that is available is not the one she wants. So how do you make that work, Sam?
Yes. So my grandmother lived at the Bickford in Ames. And so we went through the same experience when she first tried to move in. So I understand that, trying to pick out the correct apartment for her as well. So absolutely, I know on these truncated timeframes where we're trying to make that move quickly, I get that. And so one of the best things to do is move in, sign that apartment possession, or move in right now. And then we can always, if it's not the exact apartment, we can always move, and we would help be responsible for that, help move to a better, more appropriate apartment. Say you wanted something near the bread basket, or which is our dining room, because you wanted to be closer to that. We can always do that because our internal wait list always moves faster than our external wait list. So get in now, get that vaccine. That's what's really important right now. And we can always move you to something when that becomes available, because you would have first right at that time to be able to do that. So get in, get vaccinated, get what's really important, and then we can take care of that once you're living with us.
Terrific. Sam, we're going to let you rest for a minute. I'm going to pull Ann and Cindy in here if we can, because I think people want to understand how are you handling move-ins right now, regardless of the whole vaccine piece, but even with COVID-19, how are you making this possible? What does that look like?
Well, first, let me say that, COVID-19 didn't stop us from keeping our doors open and bringing new residents, families into Bickford Senior Living, because just because we had coronavirus, it doesn't mean that people didn't have needs. And I think there was probably some people that weren't quite sure. But as Sam said, we put people through kind of that tour process, because when you have a need, waiting may not be an option. It may be unsafe for grandma, grandpa, mom, or dad to stay at home. And so our doors have been open through all of that. It's making sure that we do certain things really to ensure someone coming into the community is coming in a safe way for those that live in the community. So we screen to make sure that you haven't had exposure or potential risk for coronavirus. And also when you come in, you're going to go through that screening process. We're going to have you in a very small, short stay of quarantine. And we're going to provide you with a test so you know that safely you can move into the community as well. So the main thing is making sure that when you come in, you feel safe as well. We will, again, make sure that everyone is wearing their PPE, and you'll see that. And we know until vaccine is fully here, And many of our states are still requiring that we have certain measures in place. So you will see our staff, what we call them BFMs, our Bickford family members, will still be wearing, their masks, keeping you safe, also when you move in as well. But there will still be activities, there'll still be dining, all the same things that we normally have in place will continue. It feels a bit like room service in those first couple of days, but I think that's a way to make you feel comfortable and we're going to integrate you into that community very quickly. But let me ask Cindy here, because she tends to do this on a day-to-day basis with her move-in. So anything else you'd add to that, Cindy, on your front end and how you welcome new seniors into our community?
No, I don't think there's a whole lot of additional information, but just the screening process is very helpful. The pre-move-in screening process that we go through. We, again, want to make sure you're safe as well as the other residents. So we really have a great system to do that pre-screening. And then I like the room service those first few days. They actually get a little spoiled, I think, in those first few days because they have more one-on-one attention all the time. So that's encouraging for them to make that transition very smooth. So I think that we, like Ann and the others have said, we have not stopped move-ins in our division, and we welcome them as there's always a need. So we appreciate those move-ins and want the opportunity to serve you.
That is so great, Cindy. Appreciate that. And, I think we've all just been so in COVID mode, right? And now we're kind of in this vaccine mode. But I've had the privilege of knowing you guys for a little while now and the Bickford brand and understanding your caregiver's mantra, if you will, that is very, very special to Bickford, and sort of setting aside COVID and vaccine and all that jazz. Why should somebody move into Bickford? What is it that you all see from the inside as to why a family should trust Bickford with their loved one?
Well, I'll start with that one, and I'll hand it over to Cindy too. Cindy's been with Bickford actually longer than I have. So I think that what we often see is at the time that families and residents are considering moving in, often it's beyond the time they really have a need. And so we often see that, the families are concerned because maybe mom or dad are not taking their medications, or maybe they're having falls at home, or maybe they're losing weight, or maybe they're, just not in a place where we feel they're safe to be in that environment. So coming into Bickford certainly will offer the ability for us to offer 3 good meals a day, lots of snacks in place, the ability to make sure that you're taken care of, we'll be keeping an eye on you, making sure that every medication that you need that you're taking, again, to keep you safe and keep you healthy. And as Cindy mentioned, really that very, very much, hands-on, integrating you into the community, supporting you kind of through that transition is very important. And I would say something that's a bit unique is that we tend to look at you, we call you our family members. So you're part of the Bickford family when you come in. You'll feel the love of that family when you come in as well. And we're going to get to know all sorts of things about you. We have something called a life song, and we get all the information about you and your family members, so we can have a good sense of what they like, what they don't like, what their experience was, through their years. Did they have children? Do they have their favorite pet? Do they like to knit? Those kinds of things. So we really kind of get to know you in that period of time, so you feel like you're coming into the family. And we want to show that we care. And it's not just about knowing those things, it's also knowing maybe some things as we learn about you that we want to do, and maybe meet some of those unrecognized needs. You may not know that you have, a need on that Sunday afternoon to have an ice cream, and we're going to get it for you. Or it might be that you want to reminisce about your family. We sit down with you and go through that album. So we're always looking to find ways not just to take care of all the needs, the basic needs you have, but also to take care of some of those unrecognized needs. Again, just to make you feel like you're part of the family.
Absolutely. And before the other, Sam and Cindy, before you give your answer, I want to roll this short video that I think is so beautiful and shares that feeling of the heart of a caregiver around Bickford, but also around this crazy virus. Take a listen.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, I like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
So many sweet, sweet reasons to get the vaccine. I love that video. It kind of, it does its thing for sure every time I watch
Absolutely.
that. But it's so true. The vaccine is going to get us back to being able to have life as it once was, right?
Absolutely. And I think that you can see in that video the love that, Anne was talking about, and, coming from having my own family member in a Bickford, you're talking about why should somebody move in? It's not just about the care and the basic needs and the care needs that Bickford can provide. It truly is the love of family that you're getting. And I think that's the biggest part of it, is entering a family when you come into Bickford. And so I think that video shows the hope that the vaccine's providing and the love that your family member is going to be, you or your family member is going to be getting here at Bickford. So it truly is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So it's great.
Absolutely. Cindy, did you want to add anything?
No, I just think that piggybacking on Anne, it's just that being at Bickford for so long, it is just an honor to continue to care for these residents. And Bickford is different. We just set ourselves apart in many different ways. We enrich happiness to each individual as an individual. And I think that for me sets a lot of things apart, because we care about them as a person. And we do meet those basic needs and the care needs, but the unrecognized needs is what makes those moments and those days. And that's what makes us so different, and that we are a family, and that we love your family just like our own. And that makes me happy too, and allows us to help others and do it from the heart, always.
That's awesome. And that is so true about every Bickford community and all of the EDs that I've been around, and the directors across the country. You guys are very, very special. That's for sure. So, well, thank you guys for joining me today, answering these questions from some of our attendees, some that were mine as well, but I really, really appreciate it. I know that we're going to show you Samantha's contact information here again. And know that those of you watching, know that that form on that web page that you now have the link to, that stays live all the time. So if you come back to this page, you want to watch this again, we've recorded it while we've done it live for you. But if you want to share it with a family member, or you want to share it with a friend, you can send them that link. They can watch it as well. But also fill out the form, because a question may come to mind later today. We want to be able to answer that, and Samantha will be the one to answer that. And I believe she'll also, won't you be getting in touch with all the folks who attended today, Sam?
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and look forward to finding out if you're going to make that move to Bickford. Have a great day, you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.